Okay, here we are at Harrow International School, Bangkok, with the headmaster who will be introducing himself and his school.
The first thing to say is thank you very much for your interest in working as a teacher here at Harrow in Bangkok. My name is Michael Farley, Mick to most people. I'm the headmaster. I hail from the Peak District in the north, the beautiful north of England. I've been the headmaster here in Bangkok since the summer of 2012.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, where you've come from and your family here in Bangkok.
Yes, professionally this is my fourth headship. I was the founding head of what is now a very large school working for the British Embassy in the Middle East in Qatar back in the late 90s. From there I moved to Japan, where I was for 6 years the headmaster of the British school in Tokyo, Japan's only British school, can you believe. I moved from there to Cyprus, to the post of principal and CEO of the junior and senior school in Europe's last divided city, Nicosia. The financial crash there limited my ability to lead improvement in that school. So in 2012, my family and I relocated to Bangkok. My daughter's in year 10 in Harrow, studying or starting to study her IGCSEs. My wife is a primary teacher, year 2, and the leader of literacy, and I have a 21-year-old, I know, I don't look old enough, I have a 21-year-old who's studying at UCL in London.
Okay, so you arrived in Bangkok actually for interview when you were in the floods.
Yes.
You had a lot of floods here in Bangkok.
Yes.
But when you arrived at your campus on your first day, what were your first impressions of the school when you arrived?
First impressions, green, sunshine, and happy people. People smile in Thailand. It's part of the culture. Those were my first impressions.
And in the school now, whereabouts do the students and staff come from? Does everybody come from Thailand? Do all the teachers come from England? Whereabouts do they come from?
Very, very international faculty. Overwhelmingly British. Our requirement outside of the Thai department, of course, is that all teachers need to have qualified teacher status or equivalent. So the vast majority of our teachers come from a British background. We're looking for high-performing teachers, teachers who are at least 2 or 3 years into their professional careers, who've learned the tools of the trade. Often teachers are much more experienced than that, and we're very fortunate to have a good choice. We have large applications to posts here at Harrow. We do have, as I say, teachers other than Brits. We even have a couple of Americans, a fair number of Canadians, lots of Aussies and New Zealanders. We have a South African teacher. So it's quite an international feel to the faculty.
And how many students and how many staff work at the school?
We've got 1,297 students in the school. The youngest student is probably about 18 months old as we speak, the eldest being 18, of course, in year 13 in our sixth form. The students come from a range of backgrounds as well. About 2/3 Thai, 1/3 the rest. And the rest, probably the lead nation is the Brits, and then really it is the rest of the world, from South America through Europe, Australians, New Zealanders, Japanese, Korean, really a very, very international feel to our community.
So Harrow Bangkok is a very green site, and it's got some really fantastic facilities that I can see. Would you like to talk about the facilities, and do you have any future plans for building?
Yes, the site's a green site, 35 acres. We're in North Bangkok, still in the city, but just on the fringes of the beginning of semi-rural North Bangkok. I'm a cyclist and know the local environment very well, and really as you move north of here, within 7 kilometres, it's remarkable. We're out in paddy fields and temples and water buffaloes and elephants. We moved here 10 years ago from a central location to gain that space, and it's proved to be the right move. The sense, as I've already said, is that this is a green garden site. We have adjacent to our 35 acres then a very large lake, which is Harrow's Lake. We have sailing, kayaking, adventure racing that uses the lake. And then immediately next door to us is a large executive residential area, a development called Hyde Park. We're immediately opposite the Dom Mueang Airport, which is used by Air Asia as a hub regionally. And if the traffic's good, it is only 30 minutes to downtown Bangkok, to areas like Sukhumvit, full of restaurants and shops and the various features of downtown Bangkok. But it is very dependent on traffic, and the traffic can be bad at certain key times of the day when it's best to avoid trying to move around. In fact, the government is building an overhead train transportation system, which, if it remains on track, no pun intended, should be completed by 2017, possibly 18. The campus itself, absolutely, we have big plans. So currently we're divided into two schools and 4 phases. So our lower school is our early years centre, an outstanding facility and outstanding educational practice. Then we have our infant and junior schools, which make up our pre-prep phase, going up to year 5. We then have a prep school, years 6, 7 and 8, in a purpose-built building. And then our senior school from year 9 and above, going all the way through to the 6th form. The site is marvellous. I mean, the science facilities, the sports facilities, the creative performing arts facilities, I could go on and on. But we have actually just launched a new 5-year strategic development plan. This is actually year 1, which will see the campus really relaunched with very large redevelopment plans for some facilities. Other facilities will be built new. So, for example, I've been with architects just this morning. We're looking at a new 6th form centre. We're looking at expanding boarding. Our current capacity for boarders is 150 girls and 50 boys. That will expand to between 300 and 400. And really, of course, we're talking about older students. The sense of the upper school from prep up through to the 6th form, the ethos will really significantly change as the school feels more like a boarding school and less like a day school, with a very busy and active school campus right through the day. Our sports facilities are exquisite. We have 5 immaculate grass football pitches. We have a lovely swimming pool. We have a very large sports hall, gymnastics area. We are just about to install lights and be able to play on football pitches into the evening, in the cooler hours. We've just installed lights on what are probably Thailand's best tennis courts, 6 of them. The facilities are really impressive, particularly those colleagues who are making comparisons to the UK in the depths of winter. The opportunities for the children here around the year are tremendous. Although the rain does limit us.
Does it rain a lot?
The rainy season runs through to about this time of year, and really it lasts all the way through from April. So what's that? About slightly more than 50% of the year it is wet, and it rains properly when it rains. Lots and lots of rain. The whole country and our school is certainly set up for that. We have drainage systems on all our sports pitches. We have covered walkways. It's a tropical climate.
Okay, please could you tell me a little bit more now about the ethos of the Harrow International School Bangkok?
Harrow International School Bangkok very much feels like a British independent school in an international setting. You'll recognise, if you have experienced a good day in boarding school in the UK, many of those features here at Harrow in Bangkok. A house system, high standards of discipline and high expectations of our students, a professional and smart approach to our day, to our uniform, to the way we go about certain key events going through the year, and showcasing orchestras, for example, speech day. brings the school year to an end with an array of awards and celebrations. So there's a real sense of the British international sector. We also are successful in sending our students, our graduates, to some of the best universities around the world. We've had 3 interviews for Cambridge this year, numerous students with offers to top universities in Britain, Imperial, UCL, Durham, some of the best universities in the UK, and increasingly we see a pattern of students showing an interest in North America, Canada and particularly the USA. The ethos is of a happy school. That very much comes from me and the leadership team. We believe that our first priority is the children's safety. Second priority then is their happiness and well-being, and if we get those things right, they're predisposed to learn and to reach their potential. And the students love their school, they embrace their school, they're passionate for it, they're proud of it, they want to be in school, and they want to do their best for themselves, for their peers, and for their parents, of course, and for their teachers. And the array of opportunities, and I'm sure we'll go into this a little bit later, available for students of whatever age is quite overwhelming.
The mission statement for the school is leadership for a better world. How do we use the leadership, and how are we going to make our children into leaders?
The school has thought the school is not a thinking entity. We have thought very carefully about what that actually means. So we have this mission, leadership for a better world, and we very much recognise that our students probably have no choice in facing a future whereby they will be in leadership roles in their adult life. So what we do is work very hard to make sure that they are prepared with leadership attributes and with the necessary skills and experiences to be equipped to be leaders who are going to have a positive influence on the world that they will encounter. We work very hard to make sure that students are equipped with essential learner skills, that they're literate, that they're numerate, that they know how to responsibly use digital technology. We work very hard then on developing transferable learner skills, says he, not speaking very clearly, but communication skills, skills in a team, skills that allow all our students to seek positive resolutions of conflict, for example. This then supports the development of leadership attributes. Increasingly as our children grow through the school, and particularly from the prep school and upwards, our students experience an array of opportunities to develop leadership skills. And in fact, we call our prep curriculum our leadership curriculum. This then launches them into our senior school, very well equipped, not just with skills that allow them to learn, but skills that allow them to lead. And let's be clear, not all leaders lead from the front. We have quiet leaders who quietly lead from the back. A leader doesn't need to be speaking into a camera or from a podium with a microphone. Leadership looks very different dependent on the attributes of the individual: introvert, extrovert, artist, scientist, sports person. By the time we get to the senior school, our students are very well equipped, particularly through the house system, to take on leadership roles, to make a meaningful difference to their house, for their peers, for children younger in the school, in order to make a positive contribution to the school community or the wider community.
We have leadership in action, which the teachers yesterday were telling me about. This involves after-school activities. Does everybody do after-school activities?
Yes.
How does this work?
They do. Leadership in action is a unique feature of Harrow's international schools. Effectively, our schools have 3 key elements, 3 key provisions, if you like. Our academic programmes, ensuring that students reach their full potential. Our pastoral systems, to make sure that students are appropriately supported, guided and counselled. And then finally, leadership in action, which effectively is all things extracurricular. So a key part of leadership in action, a key strand, is our activities programme. All staff are expected and want to contribute to that programme. The expectation for Joe Blogg's class teacher or secondary specialist teacher is for 1 to 2 clubs per week, running through the 3 terms of the year. If a teacher has a particular development priority, so for example is undergoing an EAL training course, it may be that we're allowed to, or we're able to reduce the expectation from 2 to 1 activities a week. Many teachers get involved in a whole array of other activities, perhaps for example running a sports club or involved in one of the musical ensembles. Many teachers become involved in our very ambitious adventurous programmes. We have Expedition Week in February where the whole school is out there all over the world. Last year up Himalayan mountains. This year we're looking at an expedition climbing Mount Kinabalu. We're looking at an expedition climbing Mount Kenya. We have a lot of service and charity work. Every house is attached to a charitable foundation of some description here in Thailand. We've just done a lot of work in support of the clean-up operation UNICEF are leading after the super typhoon in the Philippines. Saw so much devastation, obviously that's close to our hearts because it's regional. There's an enormous amount of service that our staff also support. How
are you affiliated to Harrow UK? And I hear that there are other Harrow schools. So Harrow Bangkok, Harrow Beijing, Harrow Hong Kong?
Yes, in all there are actually 5 Harrow schools. 2 are in London, 3 are in Asia. Starting with the London schools, the Harrow Foundation in London oversees Harrow on the Hill, perhaps Harrow's most famous school, of course the School of Churchill and Nehru. We also have the John Lyons School at the bottom of the hill in northwest London. Our affiliation and our association to those schools is close. The Harrow Asian schools are overseen by Harrow on the Hill. So we have 2 board members from the Harrow board who quality assure what we're doing out here in Asia, making trips to each of the Harrow Asia schools 3 times a year to attend board meetings, spend time in the school and generally see that the school is progressing in the right direction. There's a lot of additional links between the London schools and the Asian schools. So for example this June a group of Year 11 students post-IGCSE will lead as well as stage a Year 11's students conference. We have winter exchange programmes. Last year, Year 8 were on the Hill and at the John Lyons School. We also have teacher exchanges as well. We've had the placement of Harrow Bangkok teachers in Harrow on the Hill and in the John Lyons School. So the associations with London are very close. In fact, I was there on the Hill just 2 weeks ago as Harrow on the Hill celebrated its annual tradition of Churchill songs in the speech hall. The relationship with the Harrow Asia schools in Hong Kong and Beijing is also close. Beijing opened its doors in about 2006, but only very recently moved to a big new purpose-built site. Hong Kong also opened recently, September 2013, 12, I beg your pardon. And is a flourishing school with beautifully designed crescent building in a prime location in Hong Kong. Relationships are very close, lots of sports exchanges, lots of professional development exchanges, lots of interaction between staff and students, and lots of opportunities to come. Crucially, I should make it clear to applicants to the Harrow family of schools that we're seeing more and more opportunity for exchange between schools, with teachers moving from one school to another, seeking employment opportunities, or pursuing, I should say, employment opportunities within the Harrow family of schools.
So there's lots of international schools in Asia. There are other connections, aren't there, like ISAT and Phobosea. How does that infiltrate into Harrow?
Yes, so out here in East Asia, we're not cut adrift. In actual fact, there are a number of self-help associations and federations. Here in Thailand, we have the International Schools Association, which is a group of actually 200 international schools, can you believe it, of which there are over 100 in Bangkok. We're a very active member of that group, and that group leads to a range of opportunities, professional, sporting, for teachers, for students. For example, a month ago, the association staged the Bangkok Teachers Network, a professional development weekend, allowing our staff both to lead and attend workshops and seminars on a wide range of professional development themes. BISAC is the Bangkok International Schools Sports Association. We've just had a football tournament, a basketball tournament, a volleyball tournament this weekend. This afternoon we have a rugby competition taking place in another international school in Bangkok. So a wide range of sports opportunities are available to our students due to the links with other international schools. Going further afield, Asia-wide then, the Federation of British International Schools in Asia, FBISIA, provides a wide range of opportunities for teachers and for students to take part in all sorts of activities, everything from professional development. So Harrow hosted a group of 8 NPQH, National Professional Qualification of Head Teacher candidates, here in Bangkok just 10 days ago. We have a teachers' conference which Harrow and the school in Phuket are going to co-host next academic year. Also a wide range of opportunities through FBISIA for students, sporting, musical, debate, Model United Nations, the list goes on and on and on. The activities that FBISIA facilitate is growing all the time. So there's a very close sense of community here in the region.
Before I ask you about the political situation in Bangkok and what makes Harrow special, of course, our candidates might like to know a little bit about salaries and benefits that we have here at Bangkok.
Yes, I mean all that information will be made available to shortlisted candidates so that they know in prospect what the package is that they're looking to come to. And of course it very much depends on the context from which a candidate is applying. Generally speaking, our teachers' salary scales are very close to the UK maintained sector. Our scale of course is unique to us. Any candidate applying needs to make a few calculations, so of course converting our salary in Thai baht to the currency relevant to the candidate. But generally speaking, if the package in the round is taken, I believe our teachers find that they have more disposable income available to them. So the cost of living here in Bangkok is relatively low. It's very easy, for example, to eat out or take a very pleasant holiday in Bangkok or here in Thailand at a rate that couldn't be matched in the UK, for example. The taxation rate is low, in the region of high teens and low 20s%. And generally, our ability to do things at a reasonable cost is just much better. We actually provide information at interview that makes cost comparisons from Bangkok to UK and other global cities. We provide accommodation, we provide biannual air flights, we provide very good medical cover. So our package is very competitive with top international schools in the region and means that most teachers are able to work hard but also enjoy a high quality of life.
Just happens while I'm in Thailand at the moment, you're having a small or maybe large political situation. How are the politics at the moment in Thailand?
We're going through a particularly interesting stage at the moment. There's been a series of demonstrations in certain key locations around Bangkok, and this seems to be a feature of Thai political life. Every 2 to 3 years we seem to go through a cycle of political instability. This is very easy to look in the camera and say, but it is true to say that in actual fact, if the situation is appropriately monitored, and it is here by the school, and certain areas are avoided around the city, particularly at certain times or these periods of crisis, in actual fact the city continues to function extraordinarily well, and I'm quite convinced that tourists are coming into Bangkok blissfully unaware of the political situation as they go about their business, shopping and enjoying the various hotels downtown. So the political situation just recently has been tense. However, we hope for a resolution very, very shortly, and this just does seem to be a cyclical feature of life in Bangkok, in Thailand, and perhaps in other cities and countries around Southeast Asia. That's in no way meant to sound glib. We actually work extremely hard on crisis preparedness and have gone through a wide-ranging review of our security arrangements, our communications arrangements, and our ability to make decisions quickly to ensure that both our staff and our students are safe and are able to go about their daily business. But generally speaking, life in Bangkok remains extraordinarily normal, I have to say.
So to sum up then about Harrow International School in Bangkok, to you and the pupils here, Harrow is very special? What makes it very special?
I mean, any headmaster would say that about their school, but the students here just have such an extraordinary school life in terms not just of their ability to reach their academic potential and to feel safe and well supported, but they embrace their school. They have such a wide range of opportunities and activities to get involved in through the house system, through sport, through creative and performing arts, through debates, through other extracurricular opportunities that are intellectual, that it means that students of any persuasion, regardless of their interests, just find that this school is able to provide them with opportunities that draws out their best. The students love the school from top to bottom. That's how I describe this very special school.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and again, thank you for applying to Harrow, and I look forward to greeting you at interview.